Welcome to Raw It with Manda and her kids. This is my daughter Kate, and she's almost 9. And this is my daughter Samantha, and she is 4 1/2. And Kate's going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing today.
Okay.
Loud.
Today we're making rhubarb pie. It's going to be raw. And I'm going to show you how we're going to make the crust. It's made out of oats. It has lots of energy in it. And it's a really good thing for your body. And I'm going to show you how.
And while she's rolling this out, I'm going to tell you a little bit about pulse. This is the Versativa line from Forever Green. It has 27 raw whole foods, fruits, nuts, seeds, tuberans, and grains. And the seeds and nuts are sprouted. I prefer to use this. I mean, you could make all of these by yourself. Some of the recipes that I looked up did pretty much call for making this from scratch. But I find it easier to use this, and this has a lot in it. I mean, there's 27 of them. So I think that that's extra yummy. If you do happen to find that your pulse is kind of chunky or dry, you can put it in the blender with some coconut milk or water or rice milk. Yeah, and it will help thin it out. This is a little dry, a little too moist, because ours was really dry, so we did it, but I think I made it a little too wet. But we'll put some coconut on it to kind of help keep it from sticking. But just roll it out thin so that it's about as thick as you would make a crust. We have 1 cup of pulse here. If you don't necessarily like coconut, I'm not the biggest fan, but you can put like flax seeds, powder, any kind of flour on here to kind of dry it up so that it's not so, I can get in here, and just roll it out thin.
Okay, now we are going to put this in it very carefully. First we have to take it off. Make it so it doesn't like rip. My mom's the best at it. Some parts might fall off because it's dry. So you put it in, you push it down. Sometimes it might stick again, but if there's like gaps, you just, the parts that fall off, put it in, and put the extra pieces, because there's usually lots of extra pieces.
So that it's easier to take it off, I put on this saran wrap, the press and seal, and I push the seal stuff on the counter. I've also will use wax paper or parchment paper to help it so that it's easy to come up. This is
And it's starting again. It's done already.
This is one that is already done, so you can see it done, and we'll get back to this one so that we can move on to the next step.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot a step.
You're
supposed to sprinkle coconut on the bottom. You want to get a little bit more? So that your crust doesn't end up sticking to the pan. And it does after it sits for a while. It kind of sticks more to the pan. So stick something down in there so it doesn't stick. So here's our finished one that we've already done. And then
cutted that pulse in this to make it all crumbly, because it would be really hard to crumble it up with your hands. So we did it with this
blender. We don't have the nicest blender. We just have a cheap blender. So, you know, we haven't got the really nice blender, Blendtec or Vitamix yet. So right now, you know, you can just do it with what you got. We're going to start with our recipe. Right here we have, first you're going to want the rhubarb, the yummy, yummy rhubarb. It calls for 3 cups of peeled, Kate's going to show you how to peel rhubarb. It's pretty simple.
First you cut off this little dry part, if it is dry, and then you kind of like push it down right there, and then you put your thumb on it and then rip it very slowly. And you're trying to get all of this off.
I love strawberry rhubarb pie. It reminds me of being a little girl, and I grew up on a farm, and it reminds me just whenever I smell rhubarb or think of rhubarb, it reminds me of cool summer, spring evenings, and my dad tilling the farm up and chewing on it, lying in tall grass with an old log cabin, and bees and raw honey. And so that's kind of where we're going to be at.
Now we're going to cut it really thin. Sometimes you might mess up, so you might want to do it's okay if it gets messed up, really. You just at least need to get it thin. Usually it's only 3 pieces. Just get it small and then cut it into little pieces like this.
Yeah, the little pieces are what's not going to go in the blender. We cut up the 3 pieces, you know, in about 1-inch cubes, and those are going to go in the blender. Sammy, do you want to put those in the blender here?
I cut the strawberry.
Okay, put this in the blender. Just so that you have a little bit of rhubarb crunchiness, we leave some of it not chopped. And then it calls for 2.5 cups of fresh strawberries, and we'll put that in there too.
With these little pieces, you might want to put them together and like squeeze them so they don't like split and cut kind of weird. So you might want to do it carefully.
I don't know if this blender is going to do all of it at once.
You don't want to put too much in this kind of blender or it won't cut all of it. So you might want to like put like only a cup in at a time. And when I cut this...
Oh, no, that's your strawberry.
Yeah, Mom, I have to cut it, huh?
Yep.
Next I cut it.
Okay, just a minute. Let's put the lid on this. And we're gonna
push.
Liquefy it.
Sometimes it does that. It doesn't exactly work. So you might want to... Yep, be careful.
Yes. If you have a cheap blender, put your strawberries in first so that it can create some liquid.
Strawberries should always go in more like shaky, liquidy.